Hello, and welcome to the Alabama Department of Public Health Training Network. Thank you for joining us today for our Cultural Sensitivity Training Program. If you have a question about anything being discussed today, please call or email during our broadcast. The phone number and email address are on your screen now and will appear again later in the program. I'm Danita Rose, Employee Relations Officer and EEO Coordinator for the Alabama Department of Public Health, and I would like to introduce our presenter for today. Vivian Carter is a licensed marriage and family therapist, and today she's representing Behavioral Health Systems. Welcome, Vivian.
Thank you, Danita. It's great to be here. I am, again, representing Behavioral Health Systems, and Behavioral Health Systems is your employee assistance program. We're going to go through a few slides here that actually explain the EAP benefit to you, but I do have to read this. If you've ever gone to any of the EAP programs that have been put on by BHS, I get to read this statement, and I do read it verbatim. It is, this presentation is part of the services provided by the state EAP program through Behavioral Health Systems, Inc. The state EAP is administered and managed by the State Department of Finance's Division of Risk Management, or DORM. If you have questions regarding the policy, procedures, or services provided by this program, please contact the program manager, that's Miss Melanie. You can also find more information about the state EAP program on the Division of Risk Management's website. Your EAP, let's silence all our stuff. You guys have a really great EAP. Employee assistance basically is an opportunity for you to go to counseling, get some concerns and some questions answered about your life, and the state provides it to you free of charge. You can clarify different problems that may have to do with your children, your marriage, stress, different things like that. The EAP is basically designed for you to meet with someone, get an assessment, and for that person to send you or put you on the right direction. I personally do a lot of brief counseling, and whether you believe it or not, 3 sessions can really get a lot done. It's completely confidential. Your supervisor doesn't know about it. It's just you and the care coordinator know that you're there. You get 3 visits annually, as I said before, or 3 visits per benefit year, and there's no copay, and there's just a myriad of things you can cover. It's managed by a dorm, and again, it is confidential. Your supervisor will not know about it unless you've been referred by your supervisor. You want to give BHS a call. That information is probably all over this document, and you probably have different flyers and things in the waiting rooms or break rooms in your office. All right. Today we're going to talk about cultural sensitivity and understanding diversity in the workplace. This is a subject that is kind of near and dear to my heart for a number of reasons. One, way back when I was in undergraduate school, my degree at University of California at Irvine is in comparative cultures. And the degree encompassed looking at literature, psychology, film, any number of things in terms of race, religion, gender. And I love the degree, and actually studying for this kind of reminded me of the number of things that I learned during that program and how it really opens up your mind and your heart on some level to seeing differences in people and what that brings to your life. So we're going to talk about that today. The objectives are to enhance your understanding of culture, examine the whole idea of diversity and how that works in a workplace situation, and to see the benefits of cultural sensitivity. Also, there's never a time when we don't have roadblocks. So we want to be able to identify what gets in the way of you being culturally sensitive or aware, and then come up with some key tenets on how you can manage diversity in your job. I am going to again read something. It's a definition of culture. people with common origins, customs, and styles of living who share a sense of identity and language. This common experience shapes their values, goals, expectations, beliefs, perception, and behavior. That's really a lot of words. What it says to me is basically the folks that you grow up around and the people in your life that have impacted you the most also impact how you think, believe, and feel. That not only includes family members, but it might also include institutions that you went to, like in Alabama. Football is king. It's not that way in other states. So not only where you live, who you're around, the institutions that you go to, they really shape how you feel and what you believe about life and expectations. Culture is something that is learned. If you go over something, do something over and over and over again, it becomes part of your culture, part of your being, part of your way of doing things. It's something that we learn, and it's comfortable. We rely on it. Things like being from California, I had to, that's the other issue in learning about culture. Moving from California to the South, it wasn't a shock because my mom was from Selma, but it's different. It's different. I can't tell you how many times people told me, "You're not from around here, are you?" I said, "No, I'm not, ma'am." Even getting used to being called ma'am, look around and say, who are you talking about? So there's various things that we get used to that are normal for the society that we grow up in, but they may not be normal to someone else. And oftentimes we take that norm for what we're used to growing up with, and we turn it into something that's made in stone. And just like you value that Roll Tide, War Eagle, Go Dogs, Stick 'em Hornet sort of thing, you value those things. There's somebody else that's sitting right beside you in a desk that may feel differently. They may feel Saturdays is for going to church. They may feel that Saturday is not sacred in the fall. They can go on vacation or go shopping. But because you grew up in a culture and a surroundings where that's the norm, you may feel differently. So the problem really happens when we start judging one another and looking at one another and saying that something they're doing is substandard or unusual or just plain different. We're going to talk about cultural self-awareness. I really like that concept of cultural self-awareness because basically it is saying that the things that knowing yourself and knowing how you approach something is truly the key of being in a diverse population. Because once you can identify what's you and what you believe in, if you see something different, it doesn't mean it's wrong, it's just different. But most of us don't know where we end and where someone else begins. Most of us think that the way we do things is right. Not something we learned, not something that someone else across the globe doesn't do. We think what we do is right. So being aware of yourself helps you to interact more with people on a daily basis. Disclaimer, and I have to give that because I'm looking at an audience, but I know there's a whole other bunch of people out there. My disclaimer, and I'm just going to tell you that I'm going to make some generalizations. And those generalizations are more for the audience to learn a concept. It's not saying that within every group of people or every gender of people things aren't different. Within a race, you may have different experiences in that race. Within a religious group, you have different experiences within that. So these are generalizations just for learning. These are not made in stone. Everybody that is this type or gender of person believes these things. So, Self-cultural awareness, that's a big word. I have a hard time with it. Again, it's about identifying things in yourself so you can understand your motivation for doing the things that you do and why you react and act the way you react. You know, you didn't just get up in the morning doing that. You didn't just get up in the morning believing that, oh, it's Sunday, I've got to go to church, because somebody over there might go, oh, it's Friday, I need to go to prayer. Oh, it's noon, I need to pray. There's different people that do different things, but if you're aware of your own culture, you'll know why you do the things that you do. You'll also be able to, within your culture, realize what's acceptable and what's unacceptable, and not put that on someone else. Yes, I have to say this, in the studying for this, I had to say to myself, well, Vivian, there's just some stuff that just ain't right. Yes, there are things that are across the board not acceptable. And I think these things 9 out of 10 times are not acceptable in the workplace anywhere in the world. So we're not looking at those things. We're looking at how you eat lunch, where you eat lunch. We're looking at to some degree, time concepts. We're looking at how you may approach something. Those are things that, if you know what's acceptable to you and where that came from and what's not acceptable to you, you're less likely to judge someone, because you know a lot of the stuff that we project on somebody else is really about us. Again, back to cultural self-awareness. The things that are continuously a part of, or a way of our life, they've been reinforced, as I said, for years. Acceptable and unacceptable is in your culture, and it shouldn't be generalized. Rules changed based on the social setting. In this group, do you do the same thing at work that you do at your family reunion? Not at all. Do you have the same behavior in Walmart when the line's real long as you do in church? Not at all. Rules are based on social settings oftentimes. And when you're aware of your own culture and why you do what you do, then you're more likely to at least try to understand that someone who's different from you, different background, different country, different religion, different race, different gender, feels differently. There are no rights or wrongs. And that's hard for some of us. Some of us are very stuck. We need something to be right. We need rules. We need guidelines. I'm that type of person. I'm like, okay, just tell me what you want me to do, and I'll do it. But I'm also able to know that there are many situations where there are no rights and wrongs. I do marriage counseling. My private practice is in Birmingham. I've been a licensed therapist for 29 years. 29 years in California and 11 years here in Alabama, and I retain my license in California forever, because I do work back there. But in marriage counseling, that's a culture. If you look at that from a cultural concept, you have one partner who came from a certain family, who has certain values and certain beliefs, and then you have another partner who has certain values and certain beliefs and thoughts about marriage and life. And you know what? They both think they're right. They don't think that they think differently. They think that they're right. So usually, getting them to look at another person's point of view and realize that there's 3 rights in this room. 3 different ways of doing things. It's this person's way, and the way that they create together. So getting at in your mind that there's no right and wrong in any number of things when you're dealing with diversity will help you to feel more comfortable in your workplace and accept people who may have some great talent and skills that you might normally kind of shun. Cultural self-awareness, again, it hopefully helps you to understand yourself, and that what you consider common sense I know we've all said it. That's just common sense. Well, common sense isn't common to everybody. What you consider common sense is not common sense to that person, or common sense to that person, or common sense to someone else. It's not common sense to me. It's just what I've been exposed to. It's just the way I do things. It's the way my mama did them. It's the way her mama did them. It's the way we all do them. But to you, it's common sense. And that word common sense, what does that elude? It eludes that, well, that's just common sense. I'm stupid. Something's wrong with me because I don't do things the way you do, or I don't know the rules for this particular setting. I don't have common sense. That's insulting. So, again, because something is different doesn't mean that it's substandard. And we have to be very cautious about being ethnocentristic. And that ethnocentristic, or ethnocentricity, that's one of those words that's hard to say, is about believing that your particular group, be it your race, be it your religion, be it your gender viewpoints, is right. And everything that is done should come out of that viewpoint. This past year has been, 2016 was a real struggle for us, and it continues to be a struggle for us. But the good thing about what has gone on due to the politics and what's going on in the world, the good thing is that we have to open up and think and not just take certain things for granted. Not look at that person next to me and that I've been getting along with for 5 years and all of a sudden see them in a certain light. We have to open up and start realizing that just because somebody does something differently, it doesn't mean it's wrong. We have different beliefs, different standards. Culture is, I think of it as, I wear glasses. I've worn them since I was 9. And way back in the day, I used to look, and this back in the day, rose-colored glasses. That was the thing, big frames, and have a nice rose tint. So culture is like looking through those rose-colored glasses. That's how I perceive things. That's how I see things. That's how I understand them. Culture inhabits everything. Food, how we eat, what we eat, when we eat, religion, politics. You know, my family has been libertarian forever, and they're going to continue to be libertarian. And, oh, my goodness, my parents were Republicans. I'll be darned if all 3 of their kids aren't Democrats. Whew, how'd that happen? I mean, those are different things that culture impacts. And culture impacts family and gender roles. And those things are all being challenged. So those rose-colored glasses that you see things through, that lens that you see things through, it might not be appropriate for the world we live in or the setting that you're in. You might want to just get some plain old lenses and look at things just a little different. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to change what you believe, but it does mean that you have to open up and incorporate beliefs that are different from your own. These are a number of things that we interpret through a cultural mindset. Communication, traffic systems. I was going to say, you know, in Europe they drive on one side. Here, I'm going to tell y'all, they drive different in Georgia than they do in Alabama. And all y'all drive different from how we do in California. So traffic systems are based on that. I mean, when I first moved here, no one knew what an HOV lane was. We live in HOV lanes in LA. We have to. Laws of the land are based on culture. Body language, different cues. I know we've done some of the Learn at Lunch seminars on communication, and body language always comes up. You know, somebody leaning in when they're talking to you, somebody getting right up on you. I was like, oh, personal space, back up, back up. Those things are all about culture and the way people do things. Certain people like lots of space around them. They feel that you're being intrusive if you're right on them. If you're not sitting close to other people, they feel that you're being distant from them. So understanding what that's about and communicating in a respectful way how you feel about something is important. Dress. Dress can definitely be cultural. And when I say cultural, and we're going to hit this on the next slide, it could be age. Baby boomers are a different culture from millennials. There's a different mindset that go with our technology savvy, I'm not going to say nothing negative about y'all, technology savvy group of people versus those of us who say, can I just handwrite this? I know how to do cursive. Why do I have to print? There's a different way of doing things, and dress is definitely different. If you go to a place of worship, you walk in, you see jeans, you see tennis shoes, you see whoa, wait a minute. Place of worship is skirt down to here, big hat. That's not what you wear to worship. So dress codes are different, and concepts of time. Some people are always early. That to them is the way to be. Other people are all just, right on time, a little late. That's the way for them to be. And that could be something that it's always been done in their family and in their life. Now, granted, there's a work culture, too. So certain things you may, as a manager, have to accept with, okay, that's the way this person does things. There's no harm. But you may have to remind them that we have a work culture that you should be at your desk by a certain time. So there's work culture as well. You guys have any questions while I'm talking, please stop me. These are, again, some of the other things that are filtered through a cultural perspective, back to the age, national origin, race, gender, religion, politics, disability, education, customs, geographic location, languages, work style, learning style, economic status, and military experience. Those are all sort of things that have their own rules and regulations and ways of being. Someone who has been in the military for, they retired in the military, you can almost see them coming. You can see them coming, or someone who, I don't know, way of learning. There's auditory learners, there's verbal learners, there's visual learners. People learn in different styles. The adult style of learning something, like if I had to come in and learn how to use, I'm having to learn how to use electronic records, it's going to take me longer than that person that is 24 years old. I'm going to be, doesn't mean I can't learn it, but it means I'm more of a hands-on learner. It's going to take me longer. Doesn't mean I'm slow, stupid, shouldn't get the job. It just means that, I'm handwritten. That's what I do. This other person's going to walk in there, jump on it, and be out the door. We come from a different world. We come from a different way of doing things. Again, don't judge. It's just different. Diversity. Mosaic. What is a mosaic? I think most of us have seen pictures that are made out of tile. And they're made out of different sizes and shapes and types of tile and different colors. And maybe if you look at it, it's hundreds of little squares. But all those squares together make a picture. And what makes it beautiful is the fact that you have all these different types of stones and sizes and textures, all that put together in unity to make a picture. And that's what diversity is. Diversity is about having an environment where you have people that have any number of viewpoints, backgrounds, differences in gender, age, getting together to impact an organization in a positive way. And it's an asset. It's not a negative. It's not anything that we went through a period of time where you had to kind of institute and put laws behind diversity, that you must hire this and this and this. And I think we're moving somewhat past that point where you have to legislate it, because people, as we're growing and evolving, the world's becoming kind of a smaller place. And I would hope that those of us, especially in the field that you guys are all in, will realize that, hey, everybody has something different that they bring to this mosaic. And that difference is what makes it strong and beautiful. Diversity is present in most of our organizations. I know I've been doing training for the state since 2010 or something like that. And even in the 11 years I've been in Alabama, it's changed. You know, different types of people, different types of couples, new religions. In Birmingham, I see it, I visually, because I'm from someplace else, can see how things are changing. It's really changing with younger people, you know, and if it changes with them, we kind of have to change. I'm in my 60s, and I know my parents, poor things, they lived through, you know, the Vietnam, we won't fight, all that yak that came out of my mouth. They lived through those changes. You know, they came from out of a depression, and I was different from that. You know, I appreciated what I had, but I was used to it. But just as I had to change, we're all having to change to adjust to things that are different and more open, and be aware. Don't be afraid of learning. I think a lot of the issues with diversity sometimes is we're afraid of learning something new. We're threatened by it. It's just uniqueness. It's just difference. And it really can be something positive. They're not trying to take over. Honestly. Nobody wants to take over most of what we got. I mean, if I wanted to take over something, I love all y'all. I love what you do, appreciate you. I wouldn't want to take over the state. I'd go take over my own backyard. You know, something I could truly control. But uniqueness is a wonderful thing. Okay, I'm going to have you do something, and I want you to just kind of take a second and close your eyes. Everybody. Those of you at your computer screens that are not with us right now, I said close your eyes too. Now I want you to get an image of yourself. What you have on, how you look, the hue of your skin, what you're wearing, your hair color, just everything, the sound of your voice. Now I want you to multiply that image by 10. Everywhere around you is you. And more of you. And if you walk out the door, there'll be you. Think of that for a little bit. Okay, you can open your eyes. The nightmare's over. When I did this the first time, I found myself getting a little tightening here. I don't want to be in a world that's all me. I don't. I don't want to be in a world that that's all me. I don't. I like differences. I like the challenges of it. I like hearing. I'm a person that gets bored easily. I bore myself. Now, what would it be like if everybody was like me? What kind of coffee do you want, Vivian? You know what we drink. Oh, okay. You know, let's all wear pink dresses today. Let's all do this. Let's all think this way. Let's all be procrastinators. No, I don't need a world like me. I need differences, because we, as old people used to say, it takes all types to make a world. There are so many studies that show that having a diverse and varied workplace impacts that workplace in a positive manner. It's usually there's higher business performance. There's especially higher performance in organizations that deliver services to a diverse population. And this is going primarily to the Department of Public Health, or it might go to more than that. But so state and the Department of Public Health in particular, you guys deliver services to a diverse population. So this department in particular and the state in general, having diverse workers actually helps you to perform and outperform someone who had more homogenized, sort of everybody was the same. And if you work that well, you begin to understand someone who walks in the door personality type and you can, and I'm not just talking about race, because we always think of diversity about race, but personality type. There are times when I'm sitting with a client and I'm working with them, and I tell them, and I usually let them know in my first session, that if I know another therapist that I think will do a better job for you because there's just something about how you are, what you're dealing with, and your demeanor, I'm going to tell you. I won't charge you for the time you sat here with me. I will get you with that person, and I will let you, if that person's available, you can see that person. And why am I doing that? Because it's about that person. It's not about me. It's about providing services to someone. So diversity actually puts you in a position to provide better services to people-oriented situations. More positives. Gender diversity is positively more, positively associated with higher outcomes, again, in people-oriented cultures. That means when you have males and females working together, when they're in a situation where they have to work with people and do people-oriented things, working together, they do better than having a homogeneous group, a group that is all males or all females. There's a lot of studies, those of you who are interested in group dynamics, I won't get into that. Just read some of the studies about how males impact males and females impact females and how males and females impact one another. We do better together than we do separate. When you're dealing with diversity in the workplace, typically diverse teams tend to be more creative. So why do you think they would be more creative? Let me get some input. Different experiences. That's right. You bring something. You bring another color to the mosaic. You bring a different way of looking at life. So there is more creativity. Now there is a disclaimer with this. The difference is that doesn't make any difference if you work in a job that is inhibiting. If you work in a workplace that doesn't necessarily encourage creativity, doesn't have room for it, it's like we're going to do it like this, then it doesn't make any difference. But if you work in a workplace where there's room for new ideas, there's room for doing things differently, then definitely diversity will make a difference. The biggest difference I think about diversity is it challenges you to think. When you have to work, and I'm not talking about that kind of, oh man, I have to work and do it, oh, dealing with this person is just so hard. But when you have to spend some time and understand someone else and think about their point of view, it challenges you. And we need to be challenged on a job. There are some people that love boring jobs because they don't want to be challenged. They have so much going on in their life. They're just here to do what they're supposed to do from 9 to 5, and then they're out the door. They don't want to engage with other people. But most of us, we need to be creative. We need to feel something about what we're doing. We don't want to do the same thing all the time. And when you're learning from people who are different from you, or you're asking someone about, what are you eating? What is that? Or you're explaining something about your life or something. You're just constantly learning. That makes you sharper in a number of ways. I don't know about you. I don't like to be bored, and that's why I love what I do. It's always something new. There's something important about diversity is we have to value individuals and people from different cultures and groups. And I'm on page 11 for those of you. Well, your pages are different. So it's diversity and workplace outcomes. It's critical that we value differences in people. It's important. Just recognizing it is one thing, like, yeah, I know you're different, but actually placing value on it, thinking it's important, weighing it as important as we with the same importance as how we feel about things, that helps a lot. Again, back to knowing your own cultural background and recognizing stereotypes and biases. Those are things that are truly important, that you value someone else, that you know what you believe, and that you don't stereotype or be biased. Those are three things that are kind of key to making diversity work in your workplace. Be aware of your own perspectives, and back to that word challenge. You've got to challenge what you think from now. You know, it's really important. There are certain times that I take to really look at, why do I do that? Or why do I think that? Or if I'm with a group of people, something may come out of my mouth. I walk out the door, I get so convicted because it's like, ooh, that was ugly. Or this conversation is not a conversation I want to participate anymore because I don't believe that. So being aware of your viewpoints and being sensitive, and not only knowledge is king, but be willing to step out of your comfort zone and live what you're learning to believe. There was a viewpoint in our history in the 1900s that America was considered a melting pot. And that whole idea of a melting pot was that we would be in a situation where immigrants were coming to this country and we'd all just kind of be one. You know, we'd be all American, and that's it. There was going to be this culture of the United States of America, which there is. You can ask anybody who deals with Americans when they travel abroad. There is an American culture. But what's more true than a melting pot, because melting pot, it denotes assimilation, meaning that we all become kind of one, you know, just a blur, one. The truth is, some of us don't want to become just one. There are things that we have from our ancestry that we want to carry with us. There's some resilience there that we want to carry with us. We don't want to become just homogenized. And there was a time in our culture that people of different ethnicities, religions, they did everything they could. They changed their names. They did everything they could to not stand out in that way. But we're moving more towards people embracing things about their heritage and who they are and where they came from, and that it's okay. It's great. If you're a student of human nature, I just eat it up. I love learning about different things. I love going to cultural festivals. I love sitting down and finding out why people do what they do and believe what they believe. I'm not really threatened by it. You know, it doesn't change me. It does. I still do what I do. I still believe what I believe, but it allows me to understand someone else, and it broadens my perspective. When you look at that whole idea of melting pot versus the pot of soup, which is more of what we're like now, I don't know how many of you cook, but I love to cook. Cooking is relaxing to me. Cooking makes me not think, and that's awesome, not to think. And I'll just stay in the kitchen all day doing whatever. And in the winter, I usually make vegetable soup. It's a go-to. You're sick. It's easy. You do it. And my typical vegetable soup would be, you know, chicken stock, whatever vegetables are in the house, throw it in there. It's plain. It's good. It's okay. Eat it with some cornbread. That's fine. That may last about a day, 2 days. Then by then it's like, I need to throw some chicken in here because it's getting boring. Eat that once. Well, I don't know how to cook for 2 people, so I have big stock pots. After we've done that a couple of days, added the chicken, then it goes to the freezer. Now maybe 2 weeks later or so, yeah, how about some more of that chicken soup? Okay, I'll bring out the chicken soup. Well, I can't just cook it. At this point, I got to throw some okra in it, or as I grew up saying, okra. You know, I got to grow up throwing, my mom was from Selma, you know, my dad's from Arkansas. We had to throw some okra in it. You know, and I don't, if I'm going to throw some okra in it, I might as well do some tomatoes. And I'm going to do some tomatoes, I might as well put a little filet in there. And if I'm going to do that, where's that smoked sausage? So I might throw some smoked sausage, maybe a little shrimp in there. Well, my plain old chicken soup has now become some variation of some sort of gumbo sort of stuff, and I have to do the garlic bread and everything that goes with it. And that's what America really is like now. We're not just a melting pot of something that just looks like smudge. There's different parts of this country. We stand out. Every ingredient, every part of us stands out. And you know what? We taste pretty good. And it's the differences. It's the differences between the corn and the tomatoes and the chicken and all that, that actually each one of those ingredients makes our soup better. And that's the way we should really look at culture and people. That it makes, that's our strength. Our strength is in our differences. Cultural diversity in the workplace and cultural sensitivity has been known to improve understanding of yourself and others. It prompts acceptance of other people, and it helps you to solve things in a different way. Having different types of people with different types of skill sets actually have you problem solve better because you're not coming at something in one direction. So you have better performance overall. It includes employee productivity. It includes employee retention rate. You stay longer, you feel accepted, you stay longer. It boosts morale. It reduces complaints and grievances. Again, there may be complaints and grievances, but if they should not be, and hopefully would not be, about something that someone else was doing out of ignorance, you know. They wouldn't be because someone said something negative or inferred something about someone's race or religion or gender. And it also promotes tolerance. Now, I said tolerance, I didn't say tolerate. There's a difference between tolerance and tolerating. I think I skipped over one. I think I got them all there. Okay. Beware of roadblocks. Beware of the things that get in the way of you being culturally sensitive. These are all understandable. Your stereotypes, your prejudices, your discrimination, your ethnocentricity. My way is the way of doing it. This is the way of the world. Those will get in the way of you being sensitive to another person, and it's offensive whether you realize it or not. I think most of us don't normally just go out and do this in a workplace to offend somebody. We just let this stuff slip out of our mouths. And sometimes we're shocked, never thought of it, that it would be insulting to somebody. And the thing is, what's insulting to me may not be insulting to another African American female. So it's not only whether it's insulting to someone in a general religion or ethnic group, it's also being sensitive to differences in us, even if we are of the same culture or religion. We're still all kind of different. Tolerate versus tolerance. Tolerate means I'm going to put up with something. Tolerance has more of an understanding. It's where you recognize and you respect differences and different behaviors in other people. You learn how to appreciate them. Appreciate them for what they are. Appreciate them because this person has the stamina to hold on to this belief in or these actions in the face of a lot of criticism. I really do look at people sometimes and I'd say, I don't know how you have the courage to every day walk out and profess who you are to people. There are times when I shrink back, you know, about certain things, and then there's other times where I am pushed to not shrink back. But there are some people that deal with insurmountable oppression and they still manage to deal with it every day. It helps us, again, to accept people that don't think the way we are. You see this theme? There's a big theme. Accept differences, appreciate differences, accommodate differences, because it makes us strong. Team building and communication. We went over this earlier, how when we tolerate and involve different people that are different from us, it decreases conflict, allows for more creativity. You get a mixture of skill sets. You get a mixture of ways of viewing the world. This is a challenge, and this is the challenge for each of us. So what can we do? You know, we work in this big workplace, and we see things happen, or we see something happen, and it's usually subtle. You know, it's usually subtle, making a comment about someone's hair, making a comment about what they're wearing, making a comment about where's it you go for lunch, making a comment about what is that you're eating, you know, why do you do what with your kids. It's very subtle. But what can you do to be a change maker? We think that change maker is that person that stands up with the big flag and we will not do that, that's a horrible thing to do. A change maker is just when you see something, making sure that you don't do that, and when you see something, pulling somebody's coattail, addressing it with them, like, do you realize that what you said to that person might be considered insulting? Or even saying something to someone else, like, you know, I'm hoping you didn't mean it this way, but I'm just going to take it that you don't understand that this is insulting to me for these reasons. Now, we'll get huffy about it, and we'll get upset about it, but will we take the time to determine between that person who is well-meaning, they're just without knowledge about something, and that person who is hateful? Because there's a lot of people out there, they just don't know. They have never been around something, and they say something, or they're asking a question, and even though it just may make you feel, as young people say, some sort of way, you do have an opportunity to educate somebody who really doesn't know. Now, those people who are being mean and hateful and ugly, well, you might want to address that another way. But that's called constructive confrontation. Watch what you say, and watch how you talk about how people dress and their behavior and how they do things. We have little things that kind of roll off our tongues that I'm just shocked about. Watch how you describe other people and how you describe yourself. Ooh, her hair is stringy. I wish you'd do something about that hair. It's kinky. Why does he have that thing on his head, that yarmulke thing? Why does she have that spot on the front of her head? What's special about today? Or why are they not eating this for this period of time, or that for that period of time? Watch what comes out of your mouth. Watch what you say, even about yourself. You know, oh, my hair is so messed up. My this is so that. Watch the negative things that come out of your mouth about yourself. Ooh, we do this or that. There's things that we do that promote or cause people to think about us and our culture as negative. Absolutely. And I won't give examples from the news lately, but there's some stuff that's been in the news about some of our great Alabamians that I felt the need to put on my Facebook page. Hey, y'all, in California, all Alabamians are not like this. This is not the norm. So please be careful about those things. Try again to understand somebody else's point of view. There's always more than one. And look at things that you have in common versus the things that you have different. these are just some things that you can do if you've never thought of doing them. Having a multicultural calendar, you know, and Black history doesn't have to be February, and women's history doesn't have, you know, just a multicultural calendar. Fact sheets, things that you might not know. I don't know if you know, I have a friend that is Iranian American. She was born in the United States. Her parents are Iranian. And when I first met her, when I moved here 11 years old, I said, you are a Southern fried Persian princess, because if you would not see her and talk to her on the phone, South is all up in how she sounds. But we're coming up on, tomorrow is Persian New Year. And I spent the weekend with her, and she explained all the different things and how they celebrate Persian New Year and what that means. This is the beginning of the calendar year for them. We have Passover coming up. We have Easter coming up. We have all kinds of different celebrations that are opportunities for us to find out something different. And you know what? Food is, as it says, potluck events. Food is a great equalizer. We love food, but it's also an opportunity to share different cultures. Your dress, when it's appropriate. Some of you men out there might have some kilts. Come on, wear them in. Explain that. Your grandfather's kilt. You know, there's different things that people do that you can be a change agent and wear something that has meaning to you, that's from your cultural past or from your family, and share that. When you have an opportunity, and I do believe with recruiting practices on work, all things have to kind of be equal. There has to be equal experience, intellect, ability. If all those things are equal and you have an opportunity to choose a diverse, someone with some diversity, or bring some diversity into your team, I would say bring diversity in your team. If everything is equal between your candidates and you have a more homogeneous team and you think that you need to add a little something to it, do it. Do it. And share and invite people to your community events. Invite them to your family reunion. Invite them to Juneteenth ceremony. Invite them to the Passover meal. Invite people to things that, people that you think are truly interested. Now, I'm not going to, if you have a little attitude and I don't think you're interested, I might not invite you. But if I know somebody really wants to know something and they genuinely want to know it, I might invite them. If I'm in a good mood, I might invite that person who is nasty, because you know what? They might show up and learn something. And that's good too. I don't know if there's any questions. We were going to have an opportunity to do questions at this point. No questions came in? No? No. Okay. The next part that we're going to do, it's called a cultural self-assessment. And this is just an opportunity for you to do this either now or do this at another point in time where you can go over this and basically assess yourself and see where you are. This is for you. This is not about you being graded or you know, this isn't going to go back to anybody and you'll get a test and your bonuses or appraisal ratings will be based on it. But it's a good idea to do like a personal self-check just to see where you are. And I want to tell people, whenever I do this type of training, I encourage people to realize you're not going to change everything. You're not going to learn everything at one point in time. When you're doing this self-assessment, if there's a couple of things that you're low on, be honest with yourself. Make a plan to do something differently with one thing. But it really is about seeing who you are and what's going on with you. I'm just going to read a few of the questions. Am I aware of my own biases and how they affect my thinking? Can I honestly assess my strengths and weaknesses in the area of diversity and try and improve myself? I had a hard time doing this because I'm like, am I being honest with myself? Because you can always be better. I assume good intent and ask for clarification when I don't understand what is said or implied. I challenge others when they make racial, ethnic, sexually offensive comments or jokes. A lot of us don't challenge it. We don't enter it. We walk away from it. But we don't say, that's not right. You know, or we may even chuckle a little inside, knowing that we don't particularly agree with it, but we don't want to make waves. I speak up if I witness another person being humiliated or discriminated against. I do not participate in jokes that are derogatory to any individual group. I don't believe that having a friend of another ethnicity means that I am culturally competent. So just because you have one Hispanic friend does not mean you know everything about the Hispanic race. You know, it's more than just knowing somebody. Being culturally sensitive is about not seeing that how you are and your family is superior or the only way. I understand why a lack of diversity in my social circle may be perceived as excluding other people. It's understanding. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily excluding other people, but you can understand where somebody else might see that. And sometimes you are excluding other people. There's rules and regulations in certain groups and social settings that kind of, we look for a certain type of people, and you don't do anything to shake it up. I realize that people of other cultures have a need to support one another and connect as a group. And that doesn't mean that they are cliquish. Just, it feels good to sometimes be around people that are like you. I mean, when I go home to California, I'm happy to be around Californians. I love y'all, but, you know, it's like, I'm home. Ooh, we drive fast. I love that. You know, we have in and out. Y'all don't have that. So, I mean, it doesn't mean that I am California's better, because I really do love Alabama, but it's like, whew, feels nice. Feels nice to kind of be with your family or your people or whatever, or going to a certain church or home church. It feels nice sometimes. The rest I'm going to let you do on your own. You do have time to do that and grade yourself, and that grade is more for your self-awareness and who you are. I really want to thank the department for doing this. I think it's really timely that it's done right now. We live in a time where there is just so much going on, and having a workshop like this, at least it gives you a direction to go in and a place to look. And I want to leave you with something that I heard. I think it was Diane Sawyer, I believe, was interviewing Diane Carroll, and I must have heard this in the 80s or something. It's a long time, but it's always stuck with me. Diane Sawyer asked Diane Carroll, the actress, she was married to that point to Vic Damone, and Diane Carroll's African American, Vic Damone's and Caucasian American. She was asked, Sawyer asked her, "Don't you wish the world was colorblind?" And I remember Diane Carroll's face. It was pensive. And she looked at her like this, and she says, "No. I wish the world would learn to appreciate diversity like they appreciate a garden, where you look at all the hues and the colors and the shapes and sizes of plants, and you say, isn't that beautiful? And you don't want everything to look the same." So thank you. Have a great day. Happy first day of spring. And I appreciate being here today.
Thank you, Vivian, for being here today. And thank each of you for watching. As a reminder, today's program will be available on demand. Have a great day. Thank you.